Here are today's top stories. President Duterte urges ASEAN leaders to face the challenges to growth and development in the region during the ASEAN Leaders Gathering in Indonesia. The government expresses vindication for the war on drugs as United Nations highlights the need to address the illegal drug problem. Local telecom company PTNT joins the bidding for the slot of the country's third major telco player. And the PNP and Customs seized about 300 million pesos worth of smuggled rice. Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. In Bali, Indonesia, President Rodrigo Duterte called on ASEAN leaders to unite and face the challenges in sustaining growth and development. Duterte says the ASEAN has a potential to deal with the world economy and draw support to achieve its goals. Absabando has the story.
Upon his arrival in Davao City Thursday night, President Rodrigo Duterte reported on developments at the ASEAN Leaders Gathering in Bali, Indonesia. In the meeting, Duterte dared his fellow leaders in Southeast Asia to confront all challenges head-on to achieve the ASEAN's 2030 Sustainable Development Goals.
Only a stronger ASEAN will allow us to effectively deal with the regional and global economic powerhouses, and only a more stronger ASEAN that can take on opportunities that are available to the many that work together. This, so the world can see that ASEAN is worth investing in. This, so global institutions should rightly support us in achieving our goal.
Duterte said the ASEAN region has maintained a steady growth path as shown by a 15% growth in trade and 12% growth in foreign direct investment. However, he said the question remains where they can maintain growth and make development truly inclusive for everyone in Southeast Asia.
Terrorism and violent extremism, along with transnational crimes such as illegal drugs trade, lure the advantaged and marginalized to divisive, devious, and destructive alternatives to the genuine development. We have no other option but to confront these challenges head-on. To do so, we must be prepared to invest in ourselves.
He said, only a stronger ASEAN will allow us to effectively deal with regional and global economic powerhouses.
The government continues to work hard and build and strengthening our enabling investment environment. We are committed to address corruption, and we are resolute in securing our nation from criminal elements and terrorist threats. For ASEAN, our region has maintained a steady growth path. We are connecting more with the world.
The ASEAN Leaders Gathering, chaired by Indonesian President Widodo and Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, aims to affirm relations between the ASEAN and world organizations such as the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and the United Nations. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Abs Abando.
At the ASEAN Leaders Gathering in Bali, Indonesia, President Rodrigo Duterte met with several leaders on the sidelines. President Duterte and Vietnam Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc discussed the delineation of maritime boundaries. The Philippines and Vietnam are two countries that have maritime and island claims in the disputed West Philippine Sea or South China Sea. The two leaders expressed their commitment to work closely in achieving progress and stability in the region. Meanwhile, Duterte also personally conveyed the Philippines' condolences to the people who suffered in successive earthquakes to Indonesian President Joko Widodo. Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetanan, Special Assistant to the President Bong Go, led the symbolic handover of $500,000 in cash and non-monetary assistance to Indonesia. Later in the evening, Duterte attended the gala dinner hosted by the Indonesian leader before returning to the Philippines. The government's war on drugs has been vindicated by the stance of the United Nations on the urgency to stop illegal drugs. UN Secretary Antonio Guterres said during the ASEAN leaders gathering that the world's illegal drug problem is alarming, particularly in the opium and cocaine trade. Guterres said drug addiction is not only a policy issue but also a personal struggle. He noted that about 450,000 deaths have been recorded from drugs while 31 million dependents require treatment. Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano said the UN statement proves the lawfulness of President Duterte's anti-drug campaign. He said it is also a good sign that world leaders are recognizing illegal drugs as a widespread problem. The Department of Justice has objected to the evidence filed by Senator Antonio Trillanes on the defects of his amnesty. Among the challenged documents was the original copy of the affidavit of Lieutenant Colonel Josefa Berbigal of the Judge Advocate General Services of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Government lawyers said Berbigal failed to substantiate her statement that Trillanes admitted his guilt to the offenses related to his coup d'etat charges. The prosecution added that Berbigal could not confirm this allegation by presenting the original duplicate or photocopy of the application. The prosecution insists that Trillanes did not comply with all the requirements of Proclamation No. 75, which granted his amnesty. Also pending before the court is the prosecution panel's motion for the issuance of a whole departure order and a warrant of arrest against Trillanes. The Department of Tourism is urging businessmen and residents in the Bicol region to invest and take advantage of various opportunities in tourism. DOT Regional Director Benjamin Santiago said the Bicol region is full of tourism enterprise opportunities which can be explored in Tourism Enterprise Zones or TEZ. A Tourism Enterprise Zone is in one contiguous territory with historical and cultural significance, environmental beauty, or existing potential integrated leisure facilities within its vicinity. Santiago said tourism must be harnessed as an engine of socioeconomic growth and cultural affirmation to generate investments, foreign exchange, and employment. The DOT official said the region has many potential areas to become cultural heritage tourism zones, health and wellness tourism zones, ecotourism zones, general leisure tourism zones, and mixed-use tourism zones. He urged both public and private sector to work with the government in strengthening the Philippine tourism industry. Still to come, the Senate says local farmers are guaranteed to benefit from the tariffication of rice. Local telecom company PT&T joins the bidding for the slot of the country's third major telco player. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
With 7,107 islands in the Philippines, transferring people, goods, and services via sea transport is considered one of the most practical and most convenient modes today. Ranging from small motorboats to large merchant ships, Philippines currently ranks 5th among top shipbuilding nations in the world. And with the Maritime Industry Authority or the Marina as the single maritime administration in the Philippines, more is definitely in store in the country's shipbuilding and ship repair industry. The Marina is significantly responsible in promoting the economic viability of the Philippine shipbuilding and ship repair industry. With the Shipyards Regulation Service or SRS working to address the existing challenges posed by the archipelagic and economic constraints, the Philippines works to level up with the global demands of being a preferred maritime hub for the construction of safe, high-quality, and seagoing vessels. Challenges exist, and this kept the Shipyards Regulation Service motivated to implement more plans in making the Philippines a major maritime nation. Despite being the fifth largest shipbuilder in the world, most of the shipyards in the Philippines have outmoded facilities, machineries, and equipment. In 2018, 118 shipyards are Marina registered, working with just 167 plant facilities. There are also inadequate supply of basic shipbuilding and ship repair materials and components. The limited ship financing options fail to encourage big companies to invest in Philippine-made ships. And the approximately 50,000 shipyard personnel need further support for their constant training and skills development. Persisting challenges needs aggressive solutions. That's why the Shipyards Regulation Service began in improving the existing rules and regulations, specifically in the construction and the design of ships. The SRS is also enhancing the statutory safety policies relative to the tonnage, stability, and load line of ships. All this while harmonizing the dry docking system with the Marina Ship Safety System, as well as develop the rules and regulations on the ship breaking and accreditation of ship recycling facilities.
Farmers are guaranteed to benefit from the government's plan to do away with the import quota regime on rice. Senator Grace Poe said Senate Bill number 1998, which seeks to lift restrictions on rice importation, is expected to result in tempered inflation. Economic managers have estimated that rice prices could go down to 30 pesos and 30 centavos per kilogram. Under Senate Bill number 1998, or the Rice Tariffication Bill, rice imports will be slapped with a 35% tariff rate instead of limits in the volume of imports every year. The measure also establishes a Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, which will mainly be sourced from rice tariffs to finance the procurement of farm machinery and equipment, irrigation, subsidies, and credit to farmers and rice research. The bill, which is pending second reading in the Senate, has been certified urgent and a priority measure by Malacanang. The Philippine Economic Zone Authority hopes that President Duterte will address its concerns over the second tax reform package. More on this from Miguel Hill.
Philippine Economic Zone Authority Director General Charito Plaza wants to talk directly to President Rodrigo Duterte to discuss her agency's concerns about the second package of the tax reform program. Plaza said she now wants to go directly to the chief executive after losing hope that the Department of Finance will consider the proposals of PEZA. Plaza also expressed dissatisfaction with the House of Representatives' version of the tax reform for attracting better and high-quality opportunities, or Trabajo Bill. She explained that the Trabajo Bill would affect PEZA through the rationalization of incentives to investors. Plaza stressed that the second package of TRAIN has given rise to uncertainties in the investor community. Investment pledges in PEZA from January to September 2018 dropped 56% from last year. But she clarified that no company has pulled out their investments because of the uncertainties created by the proposed TRAIN 2 as of yet. Plaza hopes the president would understand PEZA's position, especially when the first tax reform package contributed to the spike in the inflation rate. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
In the search for a third telco provider, the Philippine Telegraphic and Telephone Company, or PTNT, formally threw its hat in the race to become the new major player in the local telecommunications industry. In a regulatory disclosure, the company confirmed reports that it has bought bidding documents worth 1 million pesos to participate in the bidding process for the third telco player. PTNT President and CEO James Velasquez said they believe they are the only local company that can comply with the stringent requirements. The company posted a net income of 25 million pesos in the fiscal year ending June 2018, driven by a higher client base and lower operating expenses. The firm attributed the improvement of its revenues to client growth, expansion of its fiber optic cable network, and initiatives to decrease expenses. The crime volume in Negros Occidental decreased by 61.62% from January to August this year as compared to 2017. The Negros Occidental Police Provincial Office said it monitored some 3,000 crimes in the first 8 months of the year. Index crimes, or those committed against persons and property, decreased by almost 70%. Meanwhile, non-index crimes, or crimes involving violations of special laws, decreased by some 60%. From January to August 2018, cases wherein suspects were arrested and charged increased from 61% last year to 66% in 2018. Police Provincial Director Senior Superintendent Rodolfo Castil Jr. said the improvements were brought by the unprecedented efforts of personnel to go after wanted persons. Castil also hailed community participation in providing information to the police. The Department of Science and Technology launched the iSalt project in Alaminos, Pangasinan to introduce salt ionization technology for the town's salt makers. DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña said the Industrial Technology Development Institute would teach this technology to a salt community in Alaminos. The iSalt project is an iodized salt processing model using a saturated brine feed reservoir, spin dryer, and iodizing machine. Part of this technology is in accordance with the ASEAN law, which contributes to the elimination of iodine deficiency disorders. The Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development helped in its development. De la Peña said he is happy with how the local government of Alaminos is adopting the technology. Up next, the PNP and Customs seized about 300 million pesos worth of smuggled rice. At least 3 persons are killed in a 6.3 magnitude earthquake in East Java, Indonesia. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
The Shipyards Regulation Service is also advocating the roll-on, roll-off or the RoRo modernization program by coming up with a standard design of RoRo vessel and port area, implementation of regulatory reforms in the route franchising and import restrictions, among others, and the formulation of a financing facility that is deemed attractive and competitive to stakeholders. On July 2018, the Japan Marine United Corporation proposed the provision of a shipyard consultancy services to the Marina, including the preparation of a master plan, considering all types of vessels to be constructed, as well as the target steel weight. The corporation is also willing to design an ideal shipyard, including the area estimation, shipyard layout, production flow, and the number of workers needed for its construction. The SRS is now considering the possibility of such proposal. Aside from the consultancy services, Japan has also expressed willingness to assist in the establishment of the first ever maritime industrial hub in the Philippines. The Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, wants to be side by side with the Marina in transforming the Philippine shipbuilding and ship repair industry. By bringing in technologically advanced facilities, machineries, and equipment, as well as the shipbuilding and ship repair ancillary industries that will provide adequate supply of shipbuilding and ship repair components to be used in constructing local vessels, to be specifically assigned for domestic shipping trade. Finally, the Shipyards Regulation Service is also working into the possible cooperation opportunities with Denmark and Norway. These nations are experts in constructing small and medium ships, fast ferries, and the manufacturing of hull fittings, steel plate bending, and steel material processing for various applications. The Philippines is greatly blessed for being an archipelagic nation and for having a maritime workforce that is widely recognized abroad. Being the 5th largest shipbuilder in the world is not a recognition, but a challenge. to become better in the industry of shipbuilding and ship repair. And with the Marina's strategic plans, a greener maritime future awaits.
The PNP and Bureau of Customs have so far seized about 300 million pesos worth of smuggled rice, or about 125,000 sacks in 3 months. PNP spokesperson Benigno Durana said the sacks were recovered upon inspection of about 800 warehouses all over the country from July to October. These were recovered from over 160 warehouses in Central Luzon, 139 in Ilocos region, and 137 in Cagayan Valley. Durano said police continue operations against those who hoard smuggled rice in line with President Duterte's directive to solve the rice supply problem. He clarified that the Department of Trade and Industry and the Bureau of Customs are the lead agencies that will handle charges against rice hoarders and not the PNP. While recovering from previous tremors, a 6.3 magnitude earthquake rocked East Java province in the western part of Indonesia early Thursday. The quake's epicenter was located 61 kilometers northeast of Situbondo, with a depth of 10 kilometers under the seabed. Gayan Sub-District was badly affected, leaving at least 3 people dead and scores of houses damaged. National Disaster Management spokesperson Sutopo Purwo Nugroho said assessment on further downside risks on the natural disaster is underway. Meanwhile, rescuers have extended the search for victims in central Sulawesi by 1 more day. The death toll in the Sulawesi quake has already exceeded 2,000. Another Filipino brings glory to the country as Paralympian Ernie Gawilan wins his 2nd gold medal in the 2018 Asian Para Games in Jakarta, Indonesia on Wednesday. Gawilan tied with Japan's Daisuke Ejima in the men's 100-meter backstroke S7 event to share the gold medal. Singapore's To Wei Sung settled for the bronze medal. Gawilan, who hails from Pakibata district in Davao City, bagged his first gold in the 200-meter individual medley SM7 event on Sunday, the same day he bagged the silver in the 50-meter freestyle S7 event. He also won the silver in the 100-meter freestyle on Monday. Gawilan, who was underdeveloped extremities, was the first Filipino to compete in the 2016 Rio Paralympic Games. With 6 golds, 6 silvers, and 6 bronzes, the Philippines is now at number 11 in the medal tally board as of Wednesday. Blindness did not stop a Zamboangueño from going after his dreams. Now he uses his knowledge to help others as a social worker, leader, and representative of people with disabilities. Maricor Zapata has this story.
Teddy Cahill is totally blind, but as a 46-year-old today, his accomplishments are near extraordinary. A Muslim tausug from Jolo, Cahill's path to righteousness began when his vision deteriorated while he was studying nautical engineering at the Zamboanga State College of Marine Sciences and Technology. He lost his eyesight to optic atrophy in 1995. Being a spiritual person, he said his values enabled him to overcome such challenge. His positive attitude has made him strong and determined. Cahill graduated in Western Mindanao State University with a master's degree in social work. In 2009, he became active in civil society, advocating various causes and issues concerning persons with disability, or PWDs. He became the president of the Zamboanga Peninsula Federation of PWDs and president of the Philippine Blind Union. As such, Cahill was invited to the 9th World Union of the Blind in Florida, USA, and was elected Secretary General of the Union's Asia-Pacific Regional Office. Cahill received the Apolinario Mabini Presidential Award in Malacanang in 2013. On top of other awards he has had. Cahill is now a social welfare specialist in the Area Vocational Rehabilitation Center of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's top stories. President Duterte urges ASEAN leaders to face the challenges to growth and development in the region during the ASEAN Leaders Gathering in Indonesia. The government expresses vindication for the war on drugs as United Nations highlights the need to address the illegal drug problem. Local telecom company PT&T joins the bidding for the slot of the country's third major telco player. And the PNP and Customs seize about 300 million pesos worth of smuggled rice. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. Hoy se celebra el Día de la Hispanidad. Happy Spanish Day from the Philippine News Agency. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Have a great weekend.